The UF Oral History program began in 1967 with Samuel Proctor as its director. It started in a small office in Library West. With support of the Doris Duke Foundation, its staff recorded interviews with Southeastern Indians, as well as UF faculty and administrators. Since then, the program has been renamed in honor of its founder. With over 6,500 interviews, its collections now include the Alachua County African American History Project, the Veterans History Project, the Mississippi Freedom Project, the Latino Diaspora in America Project, and the Native American History Project. The Samuel Proctor Oral History program is filled with undergraduate volunteers and interns who conduct and process the many interviews in our archive. Students are directly involved in fieldwork. They work closely with PhD students, staff members, and professionals to expand and diversify the many oral history projects SPOHP has in its archival collection. Collaboration between students and professionals fosters an engaging work environment and a network of support for students. Their involvement with SPOHP opens the door to university-based research programs like the University Scholars Program and the new specialized 4-in-1 Oral History Master's Program.
As an intern, I transcribe already recorded oral histories. I've had the opportunity to interview my own interviewee and transcribe that oral history as well. We have a class and we meet once a week to discuss what we've been working on and our different projects that we're all working on. As an intern, I've learned lots of different types of skills. My typing has gotten a lot faster, as well as how to phrase questions to get the type of answer that you are looking for, how to talk to someone who has experienced a lot more in life than you have, and how to kind of put things into historical context, how one person's life can fit into the entire history of the time period. I really have enjoyed working on the Retired UF Faculty Project. I've transcribed a few of those, and it's really interesting because you can hear about people that like the buildings are named after here, or different roles that different faculty members have played in the history of the university as a whole, and that makes history really personal because like I'm attending this university now, so hearing about what it was like in the past has been really, really fun.
Located on the second floor of Pugh Hall, the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program office is small but bursting with energy. On any given day, you'll find volunteers, interns, grad students, and staff committed to preserving history and bringing stories to the community. From our office, we plan and execute public events, hold classes, create pop-up studios for recording, and archive only a piece of our physical holdings.
But as a matter of fact, oral history has been tied to technology since, since the 30s, I suppose, since recording was available. Now, there's always been stories, but the ability to record has only been in the first part of the 20th century. The recordings were simply to record the spoken word so you could get a transcript, because the transcript was always considered the end result, and the voices were secondary. And it's really kind of painful to me to even remember that they literally taped over these old recordings, because once they got the transcript, they were done. So for instance, we were using tape until the year 2008, when our current director, Paul Ortiz, came on. And I had always wanted to go over to digital, but that also meant everything, the transcribing and all of the tools that we needed for transcribing, the cassette players would have to be changed, and we just didn't have any funds.
The Samuel Proctor Oral History Program's success is in part based on its dedication to setting and maintaining relationships in various communities. The Oral History Program hosts brown bag lunches, method workshops, and forums across the state of Florida.
Dr. Ortiz came out to Melrose to speak at a historic event, and a doctor by the name of Dr. Baldeweg-Rau, he told him that I would be a good person to come and be interviewed at his program. So I came out and I was interviewed by Marna Weston, who did a very good job interviewing me about how the life was in the 50s out in Melrose and my war experience in Vietnam. Well, number one, I love people. And since I've been participating with Samuel Proctor Oral History Program, it is educating me more about history. I'm learning more about history than I did coming up to school, because I was not taught a lot about history. So I'm just amazed at the things that I am learning at my age of 71, and I'm enjoying it.
In this way, history is not just being recorded, it is being visited and expanded upon in open dialogue. This is also an opportunity to foster a reciprocal relationship with the Alachua County community through volunteering.
In that, when I was in my desperation mode of looking for volunteers, I thought, who has time? And we offered this as a possibility for something productive that an inmate might be able to do. It might be to their advantage to be able to have some typing skills. It might be to their advantage to, in fact, offer a potential employer a certificate saying that while they were incarcerated, they did something for community service.
Moreover, volunteers who are introduced to the Samuel Proctor Oral History program find that the experience allows them to expand intellectually and meaningfully contribute to our community. Moreover, students' professional relationship with community activist groups has yielded projects such as the Mississippi Freedom Project and others.
The Mississippi Freedom Project trip was something that evolved out of a project that Dr. Ortiz worked on in graduate school called Behind the Veil, and they interviewed people throughout the Deep South who lived there during the Jim Crow era. And Dr. Ortiz had a lot of contacts in Mississippi that he wanted to continue to revisit and continue gathering these oral histories. So when he came to UF, he decided to turn it into a student trip. So every year since 2008, SPOHP has sent a group of 10 to 15 students to the Mississippi Delta, and we conduct interviews over the course of the week, but we also conduct public workshops and student seminars, and we visit relevant sites and museums.
As the number of living 20th century veterans continues to decline, oral historians struggle to meet the needs of recording their histories. Because of this, the Veterans History Project has become one of the largest collections at SPOHP, and includes interviews from World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, Iraq and Afghanistan, as well as military operations in Central America. The Veterans History Project strives to cover all narratives from war, from privates to generals to cooks and to secretaries. The collection now contains more than 400 interviews. SPOHP is one of the largest contributors of oral history to the Library of Congress program.
It was interesting that the Library of Congress came to us and approached us. They were kind of in the same situation as wanting to gather as many World War II histories as they could, and knew that that population was dwindling. And we sat down at this table, as a matter of fact, to talk about their policies and requirements and ours, and how we could modify both of them so that it was not double work. And so we're very proud to be one of the major contributors to the Library of Congress Veteran Project. And anyone who is willing to and would like to be part of that collection, we send all of the material to Washington, D.C.
The Samuel Proctor Oral History Program has a long-standing tradition of recording the voices of social justice and activist movements across the world since its founding in 1967. These widely varied oral history projects are currently headed by Genesis Laura. The narratives collected by Laura and her students are housed on SPOHP servers for educators, historians, and future generations.
So what I do is my job. It's really interesting. We just started this collection, and we have about a year now that we've been doing the Latino Diaspora Project at the Oral History Program. And as we have evolved, the people that have evolved, so have the things that we do. Primarily, we're focused on collecting the stories of people that aren't normally recorded in history. So a big part of that is working with immigrants here in Gainesville and in the state of Florida. We've done a really good community service project with the Latina Women's League here in Gainesville, having interviews and doing research guides for people here through the basis of the interviews that we have collected.
One of the largest collections housed at SPOHP is our African American History Project, which is committed to collecting and archiving the narratives of African Americans across Alachua County in the American South. The transcripts of the African American History Project served as the inspiration for Gator Tales, a play created by the University of Florida School of Theater and Dance in conjunction with SPOHP, under the director Kevin Marshall, which tells the story of African Americans at the University of Florida during its integration in the 1960s. Gator Tales brought our transcript to life, transforming oral history into a form of dramatic performance.
I worked with the Samuel Proctor Oral History program in developing this evening of theater. First, by listening to about 40 interviews of people that had made an impact here locally in north central Florida, trying to integrate the university. These seemingly ordinary individuals had led extraordinary lives, or at least had extraordinary events in their lives that needed a larger audience.
Fieldwork in oral history is an invaluable resource for undergraduates, inspiring them through intellectual inquiry to break down their own barriers and return renewed and engaged to their own communities. Students and staff travel together, both across the state of Florida and beyond. One of our annual study projects is the Mississippi Freedom Project, which is centered around activism and is organized in partnership with the Sunflower County Civil Rights Organization in Sunflower, Mississippi. While in Mississippi, students and staff conduct oral history interviews, help facilitate public workshops, and attend lectures with veteran activists. In Appalachia, North Carolina, UF students learned about the effects of tourism and education through a partnership with Lee McCree College undergraduates. In Chesapeake, Virginia, interns participated in a hands-on approach as they accompanied fishermen while crabbing, a once predominant way of life currently in decline. Reaching outside the bounds of the University of Florida, each trip is proof of the value of immersion in a liberal arts education and the value of that education to the next generation of professionals. Together, the staff and students at the Samuel Proctor Oral History program plan for the future. In order to continue Samuel Proctor's oral history legacy, more space is needed to house an ever-growing collection of information and people dedicated to this work. Volunteers are welcome to join us for transcribing and editing transcripts to make our interviews accessible to the public. Creative professionals like Kevin Marshall constantly expand our ideas about the application of oral history in the public sphere. By focusing oral history's democratic nature on the study of social justice and local history, SPOHP presents researchers and the public with a toolkit for applying independent research goals in the interest of honoring the past, documenting the current struggle, and engaging the future.